Welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking about solving equations that deal with fractions. So I know it's getting closer to that Halloween season, and I feel like if there was ever a haunted house full of math problems, it would probably just be full of a whole bunch of fraction questions, because it seems like fractions are things that a lot of students sometimes come in with a little bit of, we'll say, apprehension about. So today we're going to take a big step back and slow it down a little bit with some of our equations and just take a closer look at fractions and do a little bit of fraction review. That way, if you go into that house, you'll come in with confidence and without fear. So your goal by the end of today's video will be able to solve single variable equations with fractions and decimals. So we're going to specifically focus on those. So back to the idea of the balance. An argument that my wife and I sometimes have over dinner, because she likes pizza a lot and I like the breadsticks more. Especially, Domino's, the ones that they have like stuffed with cheese and bacon and jalapenos. Those are my favorite. So if it was up to me, I'd eat all the breadsticks. She could have all the pizza, and we'd be fine. But we need a little bit more balance. So she doesn't want me eating all the breadsticks. Maybe I want a slice or two of pizza, and we got to have a balance of that. And the second thing is that, my argument is that if I eat a whole lot of breadsticks, maybe I don't need to eat as much pizza. So let's take a look at a balance of the weight of the two to make sure that we're eating an equal amount of both. Physically the same amount, so in terms of the weight of them. So first, very common to see pizza cut into kind of 8 slices here. And a couple of these slices are gone. My wife started there. So that's 3 out of 8 of a pizza. And then here, we're going to see, let's take a look at this, 1, 2, 3.5 breadsticks. So instead of writing that as 3.5, we're going to stay with fractions today. So 7 over 2 is what we're going to use. So again, 7 halves. If we were to cut these up, we'd be able to see that, where it'd be 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5, 6, and then 7 halves. So 2 fractions here, we're looking for a balance, and we want to know, basically fill up a pizza, how many breadsticks does that give us? So we got to do something on both sides. It's going to more or less keep us balanced, but we'll also be able to solve this question for us. So the breadstick pizza question, that way when we go to Domino's, we order the right amount, we order the right stuff. So our definition for today, again, focusing on some fractions here, is least common denominator. And with this, it's just the smallest possible number that a set of fractions can share as a denominator. So for example, if we had like 1 over 4 and, 1 over 8, the LCD of both of these is 8. The reason why is if we look at our multiples, this is how I usually do this. So if I have 4 and 8, so multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24. You can keep listing them. 4, 8, 12, 16, and so on. We're going to see ones that they have in common. We see 8 and 16 are 2 that are in common, but of the ones that are in common, the smallest one is 8. So it's more or less our least common multiple. So what we need to do is actually transform these so that they're both in that same LCD. So 1 over 8 is already good. We don't need to do anything to it. But 1 over 4, we need to multiply it by something to where its denominator is 8. And 4 times 2 gets us 8. Remember, balance. Same thing as the bottom to the top. Otherwise, it's going to change its value. So 2 over 8 and 1 over 8 are the same as 1 over 4 and 1 over 8. The only difference is we like these because they have common denominators. All right, so first find the LCD. We're going to do that using multiples. And then second, make sure everything has a common denominator. So thinking about pizza and breadsticks, the pizza's cut into 8 slices. We can do the same thing to the breadsticks, and that'll kind of help us even those out with common denominators. So a few questions here. We're going to start off with fractions on the top and then apply the same thing to decimals. So start off with number 1. First, let's annotate this. We have 3 different denominators. To find the LCD, or the least common denominator, again, let's list out some multiples. So 2, 4, 6, 8. I'll stop there. 3, 6, 9, 12. We'll stop there. And then 6. I need to actually write down 6 first. Let me fix that. 6, 12, 18, that seems good enough. Okay, so let's find the smallest possible one that's the same for all of them. They do have a couple in common, but it looks like actually 6 is going to be the smallest one that all three have in common. So on the side here, let's convert all of these into a denominator of 6. And 1 over 6, we're good, it's already there. All right, so 3 times 2 equals 6, and again, keep balance. So same as the top on the bottom. And then 2 times 3 equals 6, so again, keep balance, same as top and bottom. So 3x, 2 over 6, and we keep 1 over 6. Okay, so now we're going to rewrite this question with common denominators. So 3x over 6, not times, plus 2 over 6 equals 1 over 6. And then now we can start doing the same operations that we would normally do to go through and solve. We have common denominators. That opens up the possibility of addition and subtraction. Again, you can't add or subtract fractions if they do not have the same denominator. All right, so we're in our last step here. 3x over 6 equals negative 1 over 6. So last step, remember the reciprocal from our previous lesson. If you're not sure about that, go back and watch the last video. But it's going to get us 18 over 18, or just x on the left. And then on the right side, we'll get negative 6 over 18. We can simplify that to negative 1 over 3. And that's going to be our answer, x equals negative 1 over 3. So to start off this next question, because we got to do some addition with our denominators, let's write out these denominators. Let's get some multiples down, and let's see what the LCD is. And that's going to be your job there. Finally, just wanted to quickly mention decimals. Common thing that can happen is we gotta make sure we're being careful with them. So feel free to use a calculator if you need it. But also when you're lining these up, the decimal point has to line up. So if there is no decimal on the 8, there's an invisible 8.0. So we have to make sure that those decimals line up and straight down. So we'll have 6.1 on the right, and p equals 6.1 as our answer. Same thing here. Pretend that this is 18.0, and when you are adding 18 there, make sure those decimals line up and straight down. All right, so some scary review today, but with practice, we'll gain confidence and it'll be less scary and we'll be on our way. So appreciate everybody watching this, and I will see you very soon in class. As always, any questions, feel free to reach out, let me know, but make sure we're completing those last 2 questions that aren't done here for today.